Did you ever wonder if there was something more? Do you remember your dreams from childhood? Like most of us, were your dreams crushed with a reality that didn't match the magic and wonder of childhood? Or did you really never experience magic and wonder because of where you were born and what situation you were born into? This podcast is going to explore how our dreams, known or unexplored, are the key to creating a new vision for the world, and how young people today are the key to manifesting it.
Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of Building Dreams for the Future with Youth. I'm very excited to have our final Brown University student that we worked with in January on a very exciting project you've heard about, Iryna Heichuk. She is from Ukraine originally. She is a freshman at Brown University, and we are going to complete our Martin Luther King and Black History Month quotes today. It is February 28th, although we will be publishing that a few days later. Irina is going to say her quote of the day and talk about what that means for her.
Yeah, hi Heidi. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm super excited to be here today and record this podcast. And my favorite quote by Martin Luther King is, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward."
Amazing. So tell us what that means for you. I know you grew up in Ukraine. You're here at Brown at freshman year. Really, the war started while you were probably still there, or you were in the boarding school. But tell us more about what that means to you and a little bit more about your life leading up to this moment.
Yeah, so back in Ukraine, when I was born, my parents struggled a lot with finances, and they were just university students. We had like really bad financial situation. And I was growing up in a village with my grandparents. It was just a really small village in the middle of Ukraine. And I went to like regular village school with not a lot of resources to offer. And I would say that as a child, I always strived to learn more. I really was insatiable about knowledge, and I always wanted to discover new things. I wanted to study sciences, be it medicine or chemistry. Then I switched to business, but I always had this lack of opportunities for use, and I just felt trapped in a way. Because I couldn't receive all these resources at school. So when I was 14 years old, I realized that I really need to start learning English. It was kind of inexplainable. I didn't really think about, I need to learn English because it would be good for my future career or something like that. I started watching movies in English, and I would say I really fell in love with this language. And I was really motivated to watch a lot of films in English and further improve my English language skills. And by the age of 16, I was almost fluent in English, although I started at the age of 14 just having very basic elementary level. But in 2 years, just studying on my own, I had to wake up early before school, maybe like at 6 a.m. and like study English
and you
words.
Would study English before school every day?
For like a year and a half. Then I would come back from school.
Wow, that's drive. Yeah. Can I ask what kind of shows or movies that you really liked watching that really had you fall in love with the language?
The series that inspired me the most was probably Sherlock Holmes, BBC series. That was the first movie in English that I watched. And I probably fell in love with Benedict Cumberbatch so much that I really decided I need to learn English at this point.
I love it. Anything to motivate us, right? To learn something new.
Yeah, it was. And at that point, I just focused all my efforts in learning English. And I would say that many people back there, they didn't really understand what I needed it for, because it was not very popular just to, learn foreign languages. And I would say there were like different kind of careers that I was expected to do, instead of like learning languages and wanted to go travel, maybe study abroad or see the world. Like there were a little bit different things expected of me as a person growing up in
Like
a
what?
village. We had a factory in our village, and we had like, and half of the people there worked at this factory. So many people didn't really have like a higher education or anything like that. And I would say that just the whole kind of system that I was in, it didn't inspire me to dream big and to kind of go out of my comfort zone and to learn things that are not really very common to learn. I would say that in big cities in Ukraine, it's definitely different because schools provide so much more resources. It's definitely very popular to learn languages, to learn sciences and so on, but it's all mostly in big cities. But if you're coming from a small village and you are from a low income financial background, it's very, very hard. And there will be certain types of things that are expected from you and certain types of things that would be surprising for everyone if you do it. And in my case, I was telling everyone that I want to study English, I want to go study abroad. And I remember how in the 9th grade, my English teacher told me that I would never be accepted to any university abroad, because my English would be too bad for that, and my parents wouldn't have money to pay.
And look at you now. Oh my goodness. So the teacher was kind of a dream crusher, but you still decided you weren't going to listen to her. So there's something about this. I want the listeners to hear this, because you were a dreamer. Obviously you came out inquiring, right? There's dreamers everywhere in all different places around the world. And you somehow kept going with like this quote, right? You maybe didn't know how to fly right away,
Yeah.
but you decided something. And how old were you when you kind of decided this? You said you were really little, but maybe when you were 8, that's our signature question too. Is like, is there something already when you were 8, you were dreaming about this?
Mm-hmm. When I was 8, I was actually dreaming to become a scientist. Because I would say that my parents, they were always scientifically minded, and they would talk to me about like physics, astronomy. My father would talk to me about those things, and I was really interested in astronomy and also physics and chemistry. And I would just like find encyclopedias and read them on my own about, encyclopedias for children, just regular ones, about space. And I was really a big fan of Stephen Hawking. It's a astrophysicist. He really developed a theory of black holes, and I was like a little fan of him at that time. But I would say when I actually started having like chemistry and physics classes at my school back there, I think I was crushed in a way, because they were taught in a way that was not really exciting. We were just learning stuff that I was not interested in at the moment. And I would say that's when I kind of also started being interested in English and started looking at different careers outside of the scientific realm. And that was when I participated in an international online business program for teenagers, where I and a few other people from different countries working online developed a business proposal for a real world company. And that's when I was 14. And then we also ended up in top 5% of all teams. So it was really empowering for me and inspiring. And then I thought, okay, maybe business is my thing. Maybe I actually like evaluating business strategies and just thinking about the ways you can make an impact through business. And later
I want to hear more. You skipped through that. When you were 14, you created this business that is in top 5%. Tell us just a little bit more about that.
Well, I didn't. I was. That was a different program. the one that I participated in when I was 14. It was just like an online educational program where we learned about business by basically consulting a real world company.
Oh, okay. So you didn't start a business, but you
Sorry.
were learning about business by consulting a company.
Yeah.
That is so fun. That's one of the first things actually we did with Dream Tank, is that we put a panel of young kids together, 8 through 14,
Yeah.
And said that we invited businesses to come pitch their ideas to give and have the young people give the feedback to the companies. That was so fun. You learn so much that way.
Yeah, that's definitely very true. And this program, it was also oriented on kids from 11 to 18, I think. And you just vary with people in your age group.
Oh, that's amazing. So you got the bug for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and it was honestly like winning this kind of competition. It was not a competition, but they still kind of ranked us in a way. It really gave me a lot of self-confidence that, okay, maybe I can do more. Maybe I actually have a talent for those things, and maybe I should like really look into it and explore other realms of business. And then when I was 15, I applied for a network of international boarding schools called United World Colleges. This is a network of 18 boarding schools in 18 different countries that is focused on uniting people, countries, and nations for a peaceful and sustainable future. And while I was in the selection process, we had to go to the capital like twice to meet other participants and also have interviews and team games, just a regular selection process. And there I met my future co-founders of the startup that I would co-found that same year in the end of 2019. And as I said before, I struggled a lot with finding educational opportunities. In Ukraine, there was no centralized kind of support for people who were looking for those kind of opportunities, like summer camps or educational workshops, or exchange programs, study abroad programs. It was generally hard to find on the internet. And our idea was to make those, just raise awareness about those type of opportunities. And so I remember how I just was going to my bed to sleep. And after coming back from this selection process, before I even knew that I was accepted into UWC, and I just felt so much energy and excitement from meeting so many talented people from all over Ukraine and just talking to them and exchanging ideas. I felt like so much drive. I couldn't sleep that night at all. And that's when I saw like, why cannot we just help them, connect somehow and make this kind of but a community of active Ukrainian people. And the next morning I woke up with this idea of building kind of like a platform that would help people connect, whether to start their own like social projects or just look for opportunities, like I described before. And I then
Beautiful.
I just texted people who I met at this selection program, and I was like, do you guys want to do it? And they were like, yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you were getting all these incredible ideas and you just started. Then that's really what this is about, is that young people have dreams and they build on each other. Once you have a little bit of confidence, that's probably the number one. We have some psychologists and educational psychologists in our field, parents and other folks with Dream Tank programs. And one psychologist who works in a corporation said that his son, who was 14 when he was going through the program, his confidence went through the roof. And once he saw that once his son had confidence, that anything was possible for him. And that he said they spent so much time and money trying to get adults to be innovators in the companies he was working at. And he said the number one reason why was because they didn't have the confidence to be innovators. Because innovation means you try and fail. Innovation means that you don't mind experimenting, right? And failing and trying, and it's fun, right? Innovation is not necessarily something that our financial markets and our system are really set up for.
Yeah, and I would
Right?
say like, my advice for anyone who has ideas or gets such ideas at any point, not only about like implementing the startup, but maybe starting their own project or literally doing anything. I think that the most empowering thing for me and thing that gave me the most confidence was just like waking up the next morning and starting working on it right away. Because with ideas, it's super important to, once you have an idea, you have to write it down right away. I remember how I couldn't sleep and I was writing it down because I was afraid that I would forget the next morning everything. Is to write it down and then just start implementing it right away, because it really, the more you wait for the right moment, I think the more motivation you lose and the less confident you become that it will work. So the most important thing is just to really get your foot in the dirt right away and just start thinking about ways to make it happen.
I like it. I like it. Did you say foot in the dirt? I actually like that better than foot in the door.
Yeah.
I like that. You have to put your feet in the dirt to get connected to your mission. That's a new, you heard it here from Irina first. It's a new entrepreneurship motivational phrase. Right? It's better than foot in the door, because it's like feet on the earth, right? Get grounded and start working on it.
Yeah.
Dream big and have your feet in the dirt.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, what would you say? So you say anyone with an idea, just get started on it, right?
Yeah.
What else do you want to share with viewers, people who are, there's young people, hopefully, that'll listen to this and who have started listening to this. And there's also change makers and people in the world. And, you know, there's a war going on in your country that's horrifying. I don't want, you know, just to make you talk about that, but I feel like it would be remiss to not bring up that there are brilliant, amazing people in the world, and especially all over Ukraine. What do we need to know from you, Irina?
I would say that just something that I came up with yesterday is that some period of time might seem really short, but it can really change a lot. I was just like looking through my pictures in the gallery and I found pictures from like 2020. It was just 2 months before I was going to go to my boarding school after I received my acceptance. And then I thought, okay, it was 1.5 years until Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. It was 2 years before I went to Brown. And it just seems like it was yesterday, but it was already 2 years. And so many things happened. And I feel like I just became a different person just in 2 years. And it just crazy to think about, because human life is on average more than 2 years. It's like many years, and just in 2 years you can do so much. And if you think of an idea and then maybe implementing it is gonna take so much time and energy and effort, I just want people to know that time will pass anyway, and you will be in this future, you will be a future self in a few years anyway. But the difference will be is either you worked on something you're passionate on and now you have at least some kind of results, or you didn't, because back then you thought that, maybe it will take a lot of time. And the same also almost happened to me when I started learning English and started like making plans to study abroad. I thought like, maybe it will just take too much time and energy. Maybe it will not work, but I'm glad that it did work. And also, if I just look at it, it just took me 2-3 years, which in course of the whole life is really not a lot.
And you really, sounds like you didn't know it would work, but you took the steps, right? You started with, I want to learn English. And then you went to, I want to learn English so that I could study abroad. And then it was like steps, just like almost like the quote you chose, that all of a sudden in 2-3 years, your life is completely different. You're a social entrepreneur. You're starting an organization at Brown. You started a company with other students, uniting innovation in Ukraine. You're helping launch in a very exciting project here with Dream that you worked on with us in January on a new type of a token that's going to invest in the best ideas on the planet, dreamed up by youth. I mean, that's a lot in 3 years. And but you just started with the step. And that's what I think people need to know is they might look at you now and say, oh my God, I could never do all that. But hearing your story that you just took a step makes it more accessible, right, to everyone.
It's definitely true. And yeah, that was the second insight, that when you have a big goal, you really need to break it down in steps. For example, or if I want to like travel the world in the future and I want to see different countries, I want to experience different cultures, what do I need to do for it now? Break it down in a few steps, and then also create a plan of what I need to do by the end of the year, what I need to achieve by the end of the month. And to achieve this by the end of the month, what do I need to do every day? What do I need to achieve by the end of every week? And like breaking it down to like very, very small steps up until what I need to do today to be where I want to be, or to be able to achieve what I want to achieve like in a few years. I also think it's very, very important and makes it more achievable.
Beautiful. Wow. I think you're going to be a great mentor to some of the younger dreamers in our ecosystem as we start at age 8. And you could really help. That's amazing. Wow. You heard it here, people. You will be hearing more about this incredible young woman. If there's anything else you wanted to add or offer that you feel like you hadn't said, now is your time, Irina.
Yeah, I would say that just coming back to the war in Ukraine, being internationally aware is very important. And if you have an opportunity to follow the news, please do so. And it's also very important to remember that there are many, many wars in the world that we are not aware of. And it's very important to also go out of one's bubble and learn about what's going on the other side of the world, and the way that people live. And also taking this into account, just taking this to attention, be grateful for what you have today, because many people who experience war and conflicts cannot enjoy the same things that we here in the US can currently enjoy.
Yeah, that's really, really important. And maybe we can do part 2 where we can actually talk about what can we do to, actually help this war, like individuals, right? We talked about wanting to create kind of survival kits that led to kind of working on this project we worked on with Island 17 in January through a game, right? What if people are getting out? We're actively working on trying to solve a systemic problem, but what can we do on a day-to-day basis? And so I'm hearing you say, be aware and get involved, and maybe something will come from that. Or is there anything else for now?
I would say education is very important. Sorry. Education is very important, and even just probably double checking the information that you read online or you hear from the news is also just a very powerful thing to do, because misinformation very often influences the way we see the situation. And that's what I recommend to do. Something that is very simple to do. And other than that, just try to donate to different causes that support Ukraine.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And I think just to add to that, the education, the type of education matters. And it sounds like what you might advocate for is what you did, right? Get up early and learn something new, even outside of what school is teaching you, because sometimes, the school systems aren't necessarily up to date on what students really want to learn anyway. So it's right? So learn something for yourself and get aware globally.
Yeah. And adding up on that, no matter what education system you are in, even if you think it's the most prestigious education system in the world, you cannot completely rely on education system teaching you everything about the world and everything you need to know. Because even here, being at Brown, I recognize that my classes cannot like give me really a full range of all the things I need to know to be a complete developed human with critical thinking skills. And that's why I think it's very important to self-educate no matter what environment you're in. And even if you think that you're already on the pinnacle, you're like, I don't know, very prestigious institution or anything like that, I think that the learning outside of the classroom should never stop.
Beautiful. Wow. We're perfect partners for what's coming in the future too, because as you know, and some people have seen, we have a Patreon that we're talking about creating the secret mission control in Baja, Mexico to do exactly what Irina just said. And we're going to be recruiting Irina to come help us set it up because you've been working on this since you were practically born. So you're part of the family. Wow, Irina, I'm so grateful for the time that you shared here. I love doing this with fellow, being a Brown alumni myself and seeing the bright young stars that Brown has attracted from the most incredibly unique places around the world. And I'm really grateful that we get to help support you in what you're going to be doing moving forward.
Thank you so much for your time and inviting me here. I really appreciate being here and also sharing my experiences and my story. It was really inspiring for me as well to kind of just rewind what I've been through and how I got to where I am now.
Yeah, remind yourself of how amazing you are. You can listen to this anytime now. Isn't that great? And share it with people all around the world and just say, wow, yeah, I just turned 50 yesterday and I don't mind people knowing that. But I felt like there was something that I was reflecting on what I have accomplished in my life in that day. And it's really fun to kind of fall more in love with yourself. And I think that's really good for the future. So fall more in love with yourself every day and use this as a tool to remind yourself.
Thank you so much, Heidi. I really appreciate that.
We'll talk soon. And everyone who's listening, what Irina said is absolute gold. Always seek to learn outside the classroom because life is really a classroom and that's what we're doing. So hopefully you'll come play with us, subscribe, share it with others. We have more goodies coming up soon. We're going to be sharing some releases and thank you, Irina. Have a fantastic day. We will talk soon.
Thank you.